Join ForumIAS Academy, trusted by hundreds of toppers, including IAS Rank 1 Shruti Sharma.
Hello and welcome to ForumIAS. Today is 12th June 2023 and these are all the articles that we are going to see today. With the mains exam approaching, we'll slowly start including more number of mains related articles. The first article is about Cyclone Biparjoy and it will hit Kutch in Gujarat. That is the news article. It is talking about the arrangements made in the state of Gujarat in order to face this particular cyclone. But for us, from exam perspective, we have to learn about cyclone. So here we see the cross section of a tropical cyclone. So it is an exaggerated vertical dimension. So I have put in this picture for easy understanding. So we have the eye of the cyclone, where it is dead silent. There is a doldrum in the eye of a cyclone. Doldrum, which means dead silence. Then surrounding the eye, we have the eye wall and there is a cloud shield. There is a outflowing cloud shield. That is, it has a thick layer of clouds. Then we have spiral rain bands. Why? Because that is converging. Because a cyclone, the eye of the cyclone is an intense low pressure zone. So wind approaches a low pressure zone, but it doesn't approach in this way. Because of Coriolis force, there is a spiral motion, and this spiral motion, the direction of it is clockwise or anti-clockwise depending upon the hemisphere in which the cyclone is formed. Here in this part of the diagram, we can see the spiraling winds, right? There is a rotation of cyclone. As the winds approach the eye, it will rotate around the eye. That is why the eye region is a doldrum. And when it rotates surrounding the eye, there are cloud bands that are formed. Okay. And in the eye, why it is doldrum? There is also descending air inside a eye. That is why eye is also called as a region of anomaly. Region of anomaly. Okay. So, why it is called as a region of anomaly? Because firstly, it is a intense low pressure zone. But there is also descending air. That is why we call it as a region of intense anomaly. Now we will see the theory related to this. Tropical cyclone. It is also called as typhoon. It is also called as hurricane, depending on the different regions of the world. It is a severe atmospheric disturbance and it originates over tropical oceans. So tropical cyclone means there is low atmospheric pressure. We have a calm, clear center. That is the eye. We already saw, right? There is no cloud in the eye region. Here also you see. Here also if you see, there is no cloud in the eye region. Eye region is the calmer part of the cyclone. So already I told that the winds rotate around the eye. And I said that the direction of rotation depends on the hemisphere. So here we have that in southern hemisphere, the cyclone rotates in the clockwise direction and it rotates in counterclockwise direction in the northern hemisphere. So we have this. So this is counterclockwise. So this describes with this looks like N, right? In northern hemisphere, counterclockwise. So this way we can easily remember. For southern hemisphere, we have this diagram. So this is clockwise rotation. So the direction of rotation of cyclone we can easily remember with these symbols. Alright. So on an average, a cyclone can be of 80 to 800 km in diameter and the wind speed is in excess of 100 meter per hour or 160 km per hour. So this is the common average wind speed. But as we saw earlier, in the eye, the winds drop abruptly and there is very light breeze, or most of the time there is complete calm in the eye region, right? The lowest sea level pressure is at the eye. We already saw in the diagram. This is a region of intense low pressure. I have indicated it here. So we said that it is called as typhoon or hurricane depending on the region, right? In North Atlantic Ocean and North Pacific, it is called as hurricane. In the Western North Pacific, they are referred to as typhoons. And somewhere else, it is called as tropical cyclone. Western North Pacific is near China. Near China, the tropical cyclones are called as typhoons. That's it about this article. This is more of a one-liner current affair. Cyclone Biparjoy. This is covered in the point of view of other allied exams as well. Now we'll go to the second article. Second article is talking about adolescent girl nutrition. This is from Mains perspective and it can be fitted in the GS2 as well as GS3 parts of the syllabus. Okay, so we will move into the article. What it is saying is that adolescence, that is a teenage period. Simply speaking, it is a teenage period. And this period is pivotal for cognitive development. Cognitive development means the understanding ability, development of understanding ability. That is cognitive development. So adolescent period, that is when we learn about the world around us. We are more sensitive to the social cues. We are more sensitive to our surroundings. Alright. So adolescence is a pivotal period for cognitive development and it is also called as second window of opportunity of growth. The first window is during the childhood. Even if this window is missed, early childhood window is missed, this adolescence is the second window of opportunity of growth. Okay, if there is adolescent health, they will grow up into healthy adults. And if there is good adolescent health, in the future, there will be very good labor force participation. That is why adolescent health is an indicator of labor force participation. Okay, but adolescent girls, they are particularly adolescent girls, they are vulnerable to undernutrition and anemia. Anemia is lack of iron, or simply speaking, lack of hemoglobin in blood or red blood cells. So these adolescent girls, they are more susceptible to anemia and undernutrition because of menstruation. As we know, menstruation involves huge blood loss. So there needs to be nutritious food to tackle the stress caused to the body due to sudden onset of menstruation. Moreover, in the National Family Health Survey version 5, it is found that 59% of adolescent girls are anemic. And many girls are in a complex situation. The level of their nutrition depends on their environment, their cultural norms. In many regions, there is no gender neutral environment. In some of the regions in India, nutritious food is provided more to boys than to girls. So there are cultural norms which lack a gender neutral environment. These things impair the quality of nutrition that is available for adolescent girls. So the author is saying that if there is a poorly balanced diet, it will affect cognitive development. That means it will cause cognitive impairment. If there is cognitive impairment, if your understanding ability is less, then the academic performance will be affected. If the academic performance is affected, then there will be lower educational attainment. If there is lower educational attainment, it will affect the employability, employment opportunity as well as employability. And ultimately, if these people are not able to land up in good jobs, it will also affect their economic self-sufficiency. So you see, this is a vicious cycle, right? So poverty leads to poor nutrition, and in turn it leads to a vicious cycle of staying in poverty. And this particular anemia, it leads to chronic diseases, and it also leads to pregnancy complications. If there is lack of red blood cells or hemoglobin, it will lead to pregnancy complications. So when that is happening, there is a high healthcare burden on family and community. Again, there is a financial instability because of the increased healthcare burden, and then again it leads to increase in poverty. So again there is a vicious cycle. So these words are all key words which can be used directly in your mains answers. So in order to tackle this, now we have discussed what is the problem. The entire problem is discussed in this section. We have to discuss the solutions. So the interventions, it should not only center on good nutrition. That alone is not enough. We have to follow a life cycle approach. That means there should be a comprehensive approach which ensures that no girl is left behind. So if this is happening, then only the intergeneration cycle of poverty will be broken. Then only a generation will be able to improve their economic status. Also, there were convergence of schemes. What we can do is we can converse the scheme for adolescent girls with the overarching Poshan Abhiyan. Poshan Abhiyan is for improving the nutritional outcomes. So what is the benefit of convergence of schemes? If there is a convergence, then the efforts will be not in silos. Not in silos. That is, the efforts are not done in isolation. All the departments, all the schemes are working in tandem with other schemes so that there will be proper targeting. That is why the author of this article is suggesting convergence of schemes. Okay, and there should be adolescent oriented schemes that are tailor made for adolescent population like Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram, RKSK. This also can be quoted directly in your mains examination. What other interventions are required? We have to have targeted and regionally contextualized. Why? In some regions the prevalence of patriarchy is more. In some region the adolescent girls don't have a favorable environmental conditions. So this intervention must be regionally contextualized, and there should be social and behavior change communication. In order to affect behavior change, in order to bring about this, there should be SBCC efforts. So SBCC means social and behavior change communication efforts. This is also one of the important keywords which can be used in mains exam. And already, as we said, there should be synergy, there should be collaboration among all relevant departments. There should be routine training of health workers. By this only they will be sensitized to the woes of adolescent malnutrition. There is a holistic narrative that needs to be built, and this narrative can be built on the basis of strong data, right? There should be evidence or data. So we need a disaggregated data for this purpose to create a strong narrative. One part of intervention is schemes. Another part of intervention is behavior change. Another part of intervention is narrative setting. Like in Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, it created a narrative. Similarly, we have to create a narrative, and for that, strong data is needed. So this is the summary of this article. Let us go to the next article. It talks about governor's power to give assent to bills or hold back on bills. So this particular issue, it has been dealt with multiple times. Nevertheless, we will see this as a value addition. Why this is in news? Because chief ministers of many states, they feel that governors, they have not acted on a bill. Either they should give assent to a bill, or they can withhold assent. They can straight away say no, they can withhold assent, or they can send it for reconsideration. Instead, what is happening is the governors, they are sitting indefinitely on the bills, because our constitution, it does not prescribe a specific time limit within which president should give assent to the bill. In absence of such a time limit, what happens is, in many cases, the governors sit on the bills, and that is very harmful for functioning of constitutional machinery of the state. So basically, legislature of a state means what? It comprises of the governor, it comprises of the legislative assembly, and if it is a bicameral assembly, it also comprises of a legislative council. So, governor is an integral part of legislature. Why? Because a bill becomes an act only when the governor gives assent, right? And while he is giving assent, he has to act only on the advice of his council of ministers. Discretion. Discretion is in specific cases where he need not act on the aid and advice of his council of ministers. But when does a governor of a state exercise discretion? That is expressly mentioned in the constitution. It says under what situations the governor can exercise discretion. So in that regard, governor of a state has constitutional discretion. Whether he has discretion is itself under his discretion, and under Article 163 Clause 2, this exercise of discretion itself cannot be challenged, because exercise of discretion itself is discretion. So it cannot be challenged. Okay, we have a case law regarding this. It is Shamsher Singh versus State of Punjab. So in that case, it is said that governor can exercise discretion only when constitution permits them to do so. So in this particular Shamsher Singh case, the court has reiterated once again the concept of constitutional discretion. Constitutional discretion. So, Constitution expressly specifies under what conditions can the governor exercise discretion. So, the case says that governor can exercise discretion only when the Constitution permits him to do so. As simple as that. So, we have Article 200. We saw here, right? Assent, give assent, withhold assent, or send the bill for reconsideration. This is being mentioned in Article 200. Okay, whenever a bill is presented to a governor, he has these three options. Okay, he can return a bill if it is not a money bill. In case of money bill, he cannot return, he can only give assent, or he can withhold his assent. Alright, so when he reconsiders or when he returns the bill for the reconsideration of the House has 6 months time to act on it. And this 6 months time period is mentioned in the Constitution itself. Similar time limit is not mentioned for governor when he has to give assent. Okay. So, after 6 months, if the bill is returned to the governor with or without his recommendations, the governor has to give assent. Right? So, he has to give assent. In this case, he cannot even withhold his assent according to the Constitution. Okay. And in what cases can a governor exercise discretion? If the bill takes away the powers of the respective state's high court, then he can reserve the bill for consideration by the president. Okay. And here, indefinite holding of bill. If the governor is sitting on the bill, then it amounts to breakdown of constitutional machinery. This has been observed recently in Tamil Nadu. The governor has been sitting on several bills almost indefinitely, and this has caused a breakdown in the machinery of the state, because the state or the government of the state, they the government of the day, they only introduce a bill, and they introduce a bill according to the needs of the state, because they are answerable to the people of the state, right? And if the state legislature also passes the bill, but the governor is sitting, then the governor is not answerable to the people. The governor is only answerable to the central government. But if he is sitting on the bill, it affects the responsibility of the state government, the answerability that they have towards the people. So that's how governor sitting on a bill affects the answerability of the government of the day to the people of that particular state. Ultimately, this affects the people. That is why it is of concern for us. And there is one more case, that is the Purushottaman Nambudri versus State of Kerala, and it says that the bill that is pending before the governor, whether it lapses upon the dissolution of the house or not, that was considered in this Purushottaman Nambudri versus State of Kerala. And in that, the court has said that the constitution doesn't provide any time limit within which the governor has to give assent. So if there is no time limit, then the bill does not lapse if the dissolution of the house takes place. And another case law is the Nabam Rabia case. This case is both for speaker, power of speaker, and also for the power of governor. Okay, so the power of speaker in the Nabam Rabia case, it has been referred to Supreme Court. But regarding the governor, the law is clear. It says that Article 200, it talks about discretion. And discretion, it can be reserved for reconsideration of president. Whenever a bill is being reserved for reconsideration of president, then only the discretion is exercised. So, Nabam Rabia case also goes with the concept of constitutional discretion. The overall summary of the article is that there is only constitutional discretion, and that does not mean that the governor can indefinitely sit on the bill, and he is indefinitely sitting on the bill without taking any action on it. It amounts to breakdown of constitutional machinery, and the law is clear about it. That is what is being mentioned. Okay, next article. It is a simple article that says that IAF, Indian Air Force, and our Indian Army, they both carried out a joint exercise in the central sector. We just know that this exercise happened. We don't know the deeper details of it. So there was deployment of multiple combat assets, and mainly it is to check the operational readiness. I'll write it here. Operational readiness. There was a joint exercise between IAF and Army. Even before this, there was a exercise of Indian Air Force in which Su-30 MKI jets, they also carried out a strategic mission in the Indian Ocean for 8 hours, and similarly, a similar operation was carried out by 4 Rafale aircrafts. So this says that the main defense forces of our country, they are checking their operational readiness. This is especially important at a time when China has been ramping up its presence in the Indian Ocean region. This exercise also took place in Indian Ocean region, and this is a counter narrative to the strong Chinese presence in the Indian Ocean region. Now we'll go to the last article of the day. It talks about fruit flies. Okay, and how fruit flies are very fruitful in research for human genes. How? We'll see that. So basically, fruit flies belongs to the genus Diptera. Diptera means insects with 2 wings. And these fruit flies are effective pollinators, and they are also very important for decomposition. Now it is summer. If you keep a basket of fruits in your kitchen, when you open it, you will see fruit flies flying out of it. They are not even the size of your fingernails. They are very small, but they are effective pollinators and decomposers. So this fruit fly, they can reproduce at a very large scale and they can reproduce very quickly. So if we are using fruit flies for research, it is very easy to study evolutionary changes because the next generation is formed quickly. Their time for reproduction is very less because one female fly, it can lay 100 eggs in one day. So this is the rate of reproduction. This is not important for exam, but I am writing it for driving the point home. Okay. So because of the rapid pace of reproduction of fruit flies, the next generation is formed easily and it is easier to study evolutionary changes. Genome of flies and humans, they have many similarities. The genetic material have many similarities. So whatever research is carried out on flies, it can be extrapolated to humans also. So the mechanisms in flies, the way in which information is transmitted through neurons, all these mechanisms, they can be applied to complex organisms as well. So these fruit flies, though they are annoying in day-to-day life, they are very instrumental in research purposes. Okay, because of the genetical linkage between humans and fruit flies, biology and disease, what is the potential of disease, how far it can spread, what way it spreads, it is first explored in the Drosophila. Drosophila are fruit flies. Okay, because of the genetic linkage, research on human diseases can be carried out easily on the fruit flies. And because they are smaller organisms, research on these are cost effective and versatile because a range of topics, a range of studies can be conducted with fruit flies. Even it is used by neuroscientists to study how learning takes place, how memory works, how sleep works, how aggression is caused due to lack of sleep, how addiction works, how neural disorders work. It can be studied with the help of fruit flies easily. Moreover, fruit flies can be used to engage in research about cancer, aging, the process of development, gut microbiome, stem cells, muscles, heart. So that is why we are saying that fruit flies research is very versatile because we can study a range of disorders as well as a range of phenomena. But it cannot be used to study loss of personality, say for example in Alzheimer. But the neurology point of view, that can be studied. The psychology point of view obviously cannot be discovered from fruit flies, but the neurology can be studied with the help of fruit flies. Okay, that is it about fruit flies. We will see some questions. So the question talks about National Program for Organic Production. It is operated under the guidelines and directions of Union Ministry of Rural Development. This is wrong because National Program of Organic Production, it is under Ministry of Commerce. Why Ministry of Commerce has this program? They want to boost organic production to increase the exports in which India has competitive advantage. The Agricultural and Processed Food Products Export Development Authority, APIDA, functions as the secretariat for the implementation of NPOP. This is correct because APIDA itself is under Commerce Ministry. Sikkim has become India's first fully organic state. Yes, this is correct. So the answer is 2 and 3 are only correct. So answer is B. We'll go to the next question. Which of the following statements is or are true regarding the post of leader of opposition? Post of leader of opposition is given to party leader and not to an alliance leader. Yes, this is correct. So the largest opposition which at least holds 1/10 of the seats. So the legislative party leader is only given the post of leader of opposition. Original constitution provided statutory recognition to the leader of opposition. This is wrong. Later, a law was enacted, Salary and Allowances Act, and in that only there is recognition for the leader of opposition. He is entitled to salary, allowances and other facilities equivalent to that of a cabinet minister. Yes, this is also correct. So the codes according to this, only 1 and 3 are correct. So the answer is A. Last question. How is the National Green Tribunal different from Central Pollution Control Board? The NGT has been established by an act, whereas CPCB has been created by an executive order of the government. This is wrong because CPCB is also a statutory body. It was constituted under the Water Act. Next, the NGT provides environmental justice and helps reduce the burden of litigation in the higher courts, whereas CPCB promotes cleanliness of streams and wells and aims to improve the quality of air in the country. So this is a correct statement. Which is a correct statement in this? Answer is B, 2 only. B is the answer. So that is it for today's discussion. This is Indumati signing off. These are all the social media platforms. You can follow us here. Thank you and all the best.